So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Friday, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. We're really out of schedule doing one at 4 o'clock, Paddy. I just noticed it, but Paddy's going to know shindig tonight, and to be honest with you, I think I'll be asleep before 6 o'clock this evening. It's been a hectic day and a hectic couple of days, to be honest with you. So I wanted to get something done because, to be honest with you, I haven't been spotting to my own up for Paddy. And Jesus, Paddy, I think it's coming up in about 2 weeks since we've chatted to you, and there's been a bit gone on, but yeah, it's good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Nice to have a little break too. Not that you've had any of a break. I see every time I pick up my phone, I see a notification that you're gone live. So I think I've caught up on everything at this stage, but the lone watches were enjoyable listen.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. I really did, because you think, like, realistically, you know, you can talk about players that you've seen play before, and then when you're like, it's really, and I think I probably speak for the majority of other fan podcasts that do this as well. So, sometimes we've got younger kids and they go out on loan, you know, don't know a whole pile about them, but you could probably rattle off a load of statistics and a load of, you could find a load of games for players that aren't your own. And it's really weird that way, that, you know, sometimes you don't pay enough attention to your own. So when you've got these people coming back, and we're talking about maybe 5 subs next year, and Cameron Archer's of this world, Ken Kessler-Hayden's, probably the Louis Barry's, although I think maybe Youth is on his side. You know, it's interesting to figure those guys out and to see what the other teams think of them. And
it was great. It was great. The selection of guys you got on were all very enthusiastic and very happy with the fact that you know you were bringing them on to talk about these guys, and all very complimentary about Villa in general and how everything was handled. Maybe not too happy with the Swindon guy with us taking Ken Kessler-Hayden so early.
Yeah, he did mention that was an interesting one. All right, I think there was a quid pro quo there that, wait a minute, we'll take Ken Kessler-Hayden back, but we'll give you Louis Barry because he's basically in the doldrums of Paul Cook's Ipswich. So it was an interesting one. But we actually do have one still left, trying to organise it for next week. Jed and Philogene Brace with a Stoke podcast, because it started off like a train and then it just tailed off, and I've no idea why that happened, and I want to talk to the guys from the We Are Stoke podcast to try and figure that one out, because he could be a useful asset based on his development, and somebody I think that Stephen Gerrard's going to want to have a look at. And we are going to talk about some of the guys. We are going to be talking about Cameron Archer in a moment, because we've got a few things that have kind of happened, I suppose, namely, Paddy, I think Matty Targett has left for pastures new. Not a shock, not a surprise, but you can't mention his name on social media without somebody jumping down your throat saying that you need to be more gracious in how you like what's wrong with Newcastle fans? I'm going to be really honest. Like, you know, put up a big post saying, listen, fair play to him. It was right deal for us, right deal for Newcastle. He most improved player in 2021. All the best to him. And then I put up a statistical analysis that don't lie. And then next thing I get this crackpot then telling me that I'm like all Brummies. I'm not even from Birmingham, buddy. The joke's on you. And plus, Brummies don't give a shit what you think of them either. You know, It's not exactly like Geordies have an absolutely exemplary, stereotype either. For God's sake, like, get out of town. But yeah, just wanted to get that off my chest. Not here for fake rivalries.
They remember a banner from 13 years ago, but they don't remember us getting a last-minute equaliser against Brighton to give them the championship a few years ago.
Well,
look, they're a strange bunch of fans. I have no problem saying it. They can attack me on Twitter all they like. I couldn't give a shiny shite about them, and I couldn't give a shiny shite about Matt Targett either. He's gone. Good luck. He couldn't play in front of fans, as far as I'm concerned. He went absolutely off the ball. I'll never forget that broken interview against Southampton. When he went back to his local, is basically his team that brought him to where he was, and absolutely shit the bed. So look, I'll have good memories, I'll have bad memories, but nothing that'll stand out for me really, apart from maybe that goal against Brighton last year.
Yeah. And look, he's like very, very like I've no problem saying it. Matt Targett is a Premier League standard fullback without a shadow of a doubt. Plays really well with a good winger in front of him, and you could see that Alan Saint-Maxim, being on the team, plays that way, you know. So he needs that. He needs the protection of somebody that they need to look after. But look, I think every fan base has a few duds themselves. Like, you know, I don't think there's any fan base going to say that they're absolutely perfect. Like, realistically speaking, we're probably two duds ourselves, Paddy, as well in the greater scheme of things. But when I talk about Targett is, look, he does have his limitations, and for Newcastle fans, think he's the second coming of Ian Hart.
Roberto Carlos.
But actually, do you know what? Ian Hart is probably a good example of who he could kind of be like. He's got his limitations in certain areas, but he's kind of good in other areas. Now, he's not a free kick specialist or anything, but he needs to have somebody who can help him in front. And look, more power to him at Newcastle. And like, I put up a statistic, like himself and Dina, it just kind of shows they're two completely different players, and we've gone for a different style of player. I don't know. Can't do right for anyone in this day and age. You know?
I'm not convinced he's a defender that will play consistently in the Premier League. That's just my opinion. I think he's got too many. I'm not going to go all in on him. We'll just leave it at that. I think he's gone. We have an upgrade for what we have. We've a much better player. He played very well with Jack in front of him, where he could literally lie down and have a cup of tea at times because everybody was preoccupied with Jack. So they have him. They're happy with him, but I wouldn't put money on them upgrading that position as well before the transfer window is open.
Well, I think, you know, best luck to him. Fair play to him. He'll go off to Newcastle. And he's found this like, it's not often that somebody gets. He more or less got to pick, I think. I think he got a pick of where he wanted to go. From reading between the lines and what I know of it, when he spat the dummy out, really, after Dina was signed, and then he got to more or less pick where he wanted to. There was a couple of teams in for him, and he got to pick the one that he thought would suit him best, and he got it right. So fair play to him, backed himself. Like, I don't think that there should ever be this big whole, oh, we got to hate him now because he didn't want to fight for his place thing. That's fine. It's a job at the end of the day. You know, it's a job to him at the end of the day. He's got no affiliation with Aston Villa other than the fact that
I don't hate him at all. I was disappointed with some of the sound bites he came out with after he left. Bearing in mind he was still our player, but other than that, I really don't care. We have an upgrade. We needed an upgrade. We got our upgrade, and you know, we'll probably bring in somebody maybe as a number two to Luca Dean, which he wasn't prepared to stay and fight for, and that's his prerogative.
Yeah, and actually, do you know what? I've been meaning to. I've got the statistics done, and I might even release it tomorrow. I'm miles behind on Quinton Merlin. I thought I'd released it. Now I realized yesterday morning I completely forgot that I hadn't released it on Quinton Merlin. So I might. I haven't recorded it, should I say? I thought I had recorded one and released it, but I haven't. So I might do that tomorrow morning. But I've got a couple of those next week. I've got a kind of a series going on next week of who I personally would like. So it's my time next week. Forget about all the reporters. Forget about all the back pages. It's who I want. My podcast. I can do what I want. And that's what I'm going to do. Do you know what? Completely off topic, because you know what? I'm kind of a small bit sick already of talking about Targett. But have you ever eaten biltong, Paddy?
I have eaten biltong.
It's fucking gorgeous. I have a bag of it here, and I'm tipping into it during the whole podcast. Biltong is unbelievable. So I just wanted to try it out there because I've eaten it before. But I've forgotten how nice it was. And just in case anyone's wondering what I'm chewing on. Yeah,
it's supposed to be very good for you, isn't it? I see all those health freaks eating it now. Is that what you're turning into, Neil?
Oh, yeah, big style. I was actually thinking of doing it. Do you know what, Paddy? You probably put me on the spot. I was thinking of trying to lose weight because I was at the doctor and he did say I needed to lose a few kgs. So I was thinking of doing it in conjunction with Villa's preseason. And by the end of Villa's preseason, see how much I can lose and then donate whatever, maybe a 10 or a pound or whatever like that, or 20 quid a kg or something like that, and donate it to the Aston Foundation. See if anyone wanted to roll in behind me. I could do it losing a few pound.
That's it.
Now you're look. Biltong might be the way forward.
Yeah. Look, we'll park this. Park this Targett conversation with this point from Hippo 84. Targett was a consistent 5 or 6 out of 10. We're looking for players that are close to be 8 or 9. I don't know whether he bottled out of Villa, but he was too hot and cold for me towards the end. So I think that's fair. I think that's safe enough to say we needed someone who was more consistent.
Well, look, I'm going to continue my Biltong, and I'm done. Moving on from Matty Targett. Best of luck in Newcastle. Did a job for us, in fairness, for 2.5 years. You were happy to be out, and I think we're happy with the price that we got. So win-win for everybody. And you know what? There are very few transfers like that where it is a win-win for everybody. I think Villa must be delighted getting 15 million already after getting a 3 million loan fee for half the season previously. We got our money back on him, and we got 2 years of service, and he got us promoted into the Premier League. Wasn't he? No, sorry, he wasn't on that team. We got him when we just got into the Premier League. So he kept us in the Premier League, and then obviously he kicked on. And, I've no problem sitting here and saying that he was our most improved player in 2020, 2021. So, we got some good years out of him, and now he's gone to pastures new, and we haven't lost anything other than wages on him. So fair play to the club, fair play to Matty Targett on that, and we'll all move on, and we'll all be happy bunnies. So that's that's the way it is. But I want to talk about two other players that are most definitely ours, will be ours, I think. Well, are under contract with us for certain next season. Whether one of them will be here or not, or if he goes out on loan, I know it will be contentious, because I think that if he does, I think he will go out on loan again. I think it'll be a Tammy Abraham approach with Cameron Archer, and we'll come to him in a moment. But I want to talk about Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey is, for me, one of the most exciting young. Like, he was exciting for Aston Villa, I think, coming towards the end of the season, in the middle of last season. Now seeing him in that under 21 setup, I just think he's one of the most exciting young English players, full stop. I get a lot of vibes of, like, if there's a lot of English players there who've been fast tracked to the international team, and there's a lot of players there that have been fast tracked into Premier League football, and Jacob Ramsey I will put up there as one of those. And you look at Callum Hudson-Odoi, he got in England, he was getting England conversations like at 18, 19. He's never really panned out, really. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. Hudson-Odoi, there's probably people here who think that he's a lot better than I do. We've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people here who've gotten plaudits a lot at young ages. I think that Jacob Ramsey is going to be one of those, except I think he's in the right club, and he's got the longevity to kind of push on, because every time I see him, he just seems to bring something different to his game, and he seems to look an extra inch taller. And I thought he played really well for the England under-21s when he played over the last week.
I don't claim to have seen the game. I saw the goal, all right. I really like him. He's by far and away the biggest green shoot we've had this season. To have a player homegrown like that to play consistently the way he is. He did have a blip for a few games in between where I was calling for him to maybe take a rest and bring him back on again, but he soldiered through. He played him all the way through, and he's just been phenomenal. He really, really has. I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses with good players around him. And I think he just strikes me every time I hear him in interviews and hear people talking about him. He's just a guy that wants to learn and learn and learn. And that's the best advice you can give to a young footballer. If you can keep learning, you will get better. No matter what way you look at it, you'll get better. So I hope he continues to be that way. I hope he doesn't get carried away with himself like a lot of young footballers do. And I think we'll reap the rewards, because he's one of our own. Unless he has ideas about himself, I can see him being with us for a very long term, if not all his career. But time will tell on that one. We thought that with Jack too. But look, if we get till about 25, 26, and who knows, maybe we'll be playing with the big boys at that stage, and maybe we'll be good enough for him to stay with us. But hopefully, the signs are there that we might be, and the money's going to be spent. So just fingers crossed he does push on. And I'm actually a bit disappointed he didn't get into the main England squad. He did train with them at one stage.
Yeah. I never expect him to get in, but...
Oh, I don't know. Jesus. Well, I suppose what probably held him back a bit was the nature of the fixtures that we're going to have to play. They've got 3 tough games in that group that they're in. So the most important thing for England there was to make sure they weren't relegated and affect their ranking for the next qualifiers. So for the last maybe 10 or 15 tournaments, they've been ranked number 1 and basically with the exception of 1994, breezed into every competition. So it was important to protect their standing within those rankings and stay up the top of the seedings.
It's an interesting one and this is completely off topic, but Aston Villa fan says the one club player days are over. And that's an interesting one. You know, could Mark Noble be the last one club player that we see for quite a period of time in the Premier League? I know you'll have teams that will be promoted into the Premier League, but I think like someone like Mark Noble, who's played with West Ham, bouncing between Premier League, Championship during his tenure. I think that's true. I think that we will see, like, obviously we're seeing less and less of them even at the moment, but potentially he might be.
Depends on the quality of the player, you know. If
obviously, you know, like you probably have you might have a sub goalie that might be there like for 15 years and get like 60 caps or whatever like that, 60 appearances. But like Mark Noble was up there with appearances, and like he would have been seen as a valuable player for the club. I suppose that's why I brought him up. Yeah,
well, look, you get players then like Seamus Coleman, who Everton highly value having him in the dressing room, who'll probably get a new contract just to be there. Whether he plays an awful lot of football, we won't know, but he's very highly thought of. And every now and again, those players come along, the likes of Noble, the likes of Gabby, that just want to stay with the club, and that's it. But, you know, I go back to what I said about Ramsey, that's what I would expect him to at least give us till he's about 25 or 26. And if we push on with him, maybe he'll stay with us and be a one-man club.
You mentioned Gabby there, and it just got me thinking of Gabby.
I don't mean to wind you up, Neil.
Jeez, just like Gabby, yeah, like like he scored an absolute belter last night. Like, he was brilliant against Switzerland last night. For the Spanish kid, just such a player, like himself and Pedri, and there's another guy. What's his name? Is it Pau Torres as well? Barcelona have just signed there. Like everyone is having a good laugh at Barca's expense. The fact that I don't know, they're not broke anymore because they've got like something like $750 million in sponsorship over the last 18 months. But after signing 3 absolute gems out of nowhere, and then you catalog it in then with likes of Oranjo, the centre half, and a couple of more guys there. Barca won't be long retooling again if they can keep all those players and keep them all under contract. You know, teams like that don't stay down for too long. I suppose Man United really are the exception to that rule, considering that they've been they're coming up in 10 years in the doldrums and in the league, I suppose, really, comparatively speaking.
And long may that continue.
Exactly.
And look, when you think of the Barca, you were talking about them signing Pau Torres. It's not that long ago that we were linked with Pau Torres. So
no, it wasn't. No, Barcelona. It's not Pau Torres. It's Pau something. He's a younger player.
All right. I thought I'd admit that one that they signed Pau Torres.
No, it's not centre half. He's another young guy. Okay. Apparently he's from the same club as they got Pedri from. But his name escapes me. I think it's something like that, Pau Carlos or something. I don't know what it is. So we'll move swiftly along. So Jacob Ramsey, a couple of people asked there, where do we think that Mark Cattersley, where do you think Jacob Ramsey's position will be in the future? A box-to-box midfielder or a traditional number 8 type role? And I think that's really, I think it's going to be subjective in the way that I think Steven Gerrard is going to have an awful lot to say on where his role will even be next year. And I think Jacob Ramsey could end up being, I think he's probably just going to be that box-to-box player, more so going forward. I'm loath to say it because he's the best ball carrier. He's the best carrier of the ball we have in the team at the moment. He's the best dribbler of the ball we have in the moment. So, you know, you play him in that 8 position, he's not going to be that metronome, but you do want him moving forward with that ball. So it's hard to kind of pigeonhole him at the minute as to where he would play. He's not going to be Thiago. Like if you're going to say that Villa are going to play that Liverpool midfield system, which I still have an inkling they might try and implement something like that next season. He could be maybe probably be in the Jordan Henderson role. But then again, Jordan Henderson plays further back, so it's impossible to really know where he would be played next season. But for me, because of his ball carrying skills, I think you would have to play him and give him the leash, go further forward, and then make sure that other people can defend at the back because he's our best ball carrier as it stands.
I think a lot will depend on who we bring in and where he decides what system he decides stick with, depending on who we have. So, I often said I'd like to see him as one of those 10s and see how he gets on, because he's a great finisher. He's a really, really good player. And as you say, he's very good at running with the ball, and he's deceptively quick. So for me, I see him as an 8, and really, really, really important to us with the ball, and as well as doing the work to defend when we lose it. But as I said, it'll all come down to who we sign and who we build a team around in the next few months.
Paddy, is your passport up to date?
It is. Looking forward to my holidays.
We're on the way, Rick. I'd love to get out to the next North American meetup. I have got, well, potentially. Actually, I just realized that I forgot to get back to him yesterday. I've got somebody who was at the North American meetup. Hopefully I'm going to try and hook up with him next week and just talk about certain things that not certain things that went on, but just Villa things, just and talk to him about the North American meetup as well. So it looked like an absolutely fantastic time. And you guys put on a great show by all accounts. So we'll have to get over at some stage for sure, for absolute sure.
Rick needs to know that I can't go to this North American meetup until they have it in a state where you can bring an 18-year-old to the pub and I can bring my son.
Are there any states? I don't think there's any states. You might have to have it in Canada again.
I think Cleveland is 18, is it? I had this discussion with Kevin Hunter last week.
Maybe it is.
He said there was only about 3 or 4, but anyway.
When I was in Cleveland, I saw younger than 18 downing bottles of whiskey in the Muni lap before a Browns game anyway. So there is that for sure. But Paddy, speaking about players that we've had or that we have and that have acquitted themselves very, very well on international duty recently, Cameron Archer came off the bench and scored his first his first under-21 goal. And I have to say, the opposition weren't world beaters by any stretch of imagination, but it's that finish again. It's just that that snapshot knows how to finish the ball. Like, I don't care who the goalkeeper is there. It's the fact he takes the shot so early. It's just brilliant. Like this, we don't have a striker in our team that does this. And I'm not going to be hyperbolic about it, no, because I've said this since basically day one. I did liken him to Nicholas Anelka, the way he just swings a leg at everything. And Anelka used to do that when he was in around the box, and he used to score some really good goals that other strikers couldn't score because other strikers were too scared to take shots. Cameron Archer isn't scared to take shots. I had the guy on from the Butter Pie podcast. I had Ollie on during the week doing the loan roundup on him as well. And he said the same thing. He said that he just shoots and you just know that it's going to be on target. And that's kind of what you want. Like, we've gotten so lost with strikers and they've got great attributes in doing this and doing that. Yeah, but how many shots does he take a game? But if you can't shoot, if you can't shoot, you can't score. And Cameron Archer does it again. And the boy just scores goals. It's always good for.
Yeah. And he is that fox in the box, and he has a little bit extra to his game as well. To come off the bench in that game to make your international debut with the under-21s and score with your very first touch is incredible. So, look, he has a bright future ahead. There's a big decision to be made in the coming weeks to where he actually fits in. Does he go out on loan again, or is he going to be that third choice striker that's going to be behind Ings and Watkins, or does Ings and Watkins move on? So I think there's a lot of to and fro before a decision is made. And again, I'd like to see him go to a club that's going to be challenging at the right end of the championship, be it back to Preston or maybe someone who's in and around the playoffs, just to see how good he can really be.
Well, there's my next question answer, because I was going to say he's been linked with Preston, or he's been linked with Watford, Middlesbrough and Rangers, and you said you want to see him challenging at the top of the championship. So that goes to say that you don't want him at Rangers next season. I personally think that, maybe if he's playing at the top of the championship, where somebody's focused on one goal, one track.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to rile people up, but this is coming from a place of positivity and just what I see. I'd much prefer him to be playing against a bottom of the table championship team than to be playing against Falkirk away on a Tuesday night. because no matter what you say about Rangers, are going to just muller them. They're going to batter them, you know. Whereas you might get a good game from, you know, Cardiff might be. I don't know. I'm just naming teams here. Cardiff or a, you know, I don't even know who's promoted this season. You know, maybe a Blackpool. Might be down there. You'll get as good a game off those, better game off those than you probably would against I don't know, you know, a Patrick Thistle or something like that at the bottom of the Scottish. But then again, if we want him just scoring goals, that's how you learn how to score goals, is taking those shots and your technique even against teams that are of lesser ability than you. So I'm torn between the two, but I don't think you're.
I'm not torn at all. And if the question was even that he was going to Celtic, I'd say exactly the same. I get an awful lot of stick on Twitter every time I mention Rangers on this podcast. So I'm going to sit completely on the fence and explain why I don't want him to go to Scotland. If he went and played for Celtic, if you look at it 9 times out of 10, it's just the Alamo. There's no space in the box. There's no space for a player like him to flourish. Fair enough, the ball might break from whatever happened, then he tap it in. But there's no room to flourish in those big teams. If you look at most of those strikers, they're burly assholes like Morelos and Giacomakis that play in those positions. I don't see Cameron Archer as one of those. So I'd like to see him play in an open championship game, as you say. But, you know, Watford would be a good move. Someone who's looking to try and get back in the Premier League. I wouldn't put it past Dean Smith making an inquiry for him either. So there's plenty of options. Plenty of options there.
For some reason, I just can't see young Tim and Cameron Archer not wearing canary yellow next season. You know, it just makes way too much sense. It makes way too much sense for the two of them to be there. Manager that knows them, and you know, I suppose it will just go to show what like, is there any animosity? I suppose maybe we'll find this out now. But I do think Dean Smith will come back and we'll look for players on loan from us because, as you know, Norwich don't blow the budget when they get relegated, and they live off those parachute payments, and they become very rich. Like they've become a very well-run club off doing that. But the pressure is now on Dean Smith to get them re-promoted again, and I think he could get them promoted with those two options. I can guarantee you. Like Josh Sargent, I know he got injured against us, and I think he's probably going to miss the start of the season. But I'm nearly going to back Cameron Archer to score more goals based on what I've seen of him, specifically in the championship, than I would somebody like a Josh Sargent, albeit they play in different positions. So could be something there. Transfer window opens today, guys. Just forgot to mention that at the start. Sack the board. Sack Smith. Oh, Sack Smith. That's already happened. Sack Gerrard. Sack Johan Lange.
It's been a very quiet window so far.
Yeah, it's too quiet. But for me, I think, with Cameron Archer, I think, and I mentioned the Tammy Abraham route. Tammy Abraham was loaned out until he was like 20. Like he was pretty much loaned out until he went to Roma. And I'm not saying that every player is going to be like Tammy Abraham, but I think Cameron Archer playing in the championship for one more year could be a very, very, very good learning spot for him. I think like he's going to learn more than being on our bench and getting maybe 10, 12 appearances, maybe getting 800 minutes off the bench for us next season. Now, would I be pissed off if he was on the bench, given we've got 5 subs? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm talking about if he has to go out and if we don't bring in any other strikers, I'd have no problem there. If we brought in a striker, I'd probably be going, maybe we could loan him out after the first League Cup game, loan him out until January with a recall clause, see if we want to call him back or whatever, play the kind of softly approach that we did with him, like we did with Ken Kessler-Hayden last season, and see what happens and hedge our bets that way. But I wouldn't have him sitting on our bench all season. If it was a case of, oh no, we need him because he's going to be our third choice striker all season, while he will get minutes, I'd prefer to see him go out and get 2,000 minutes than to sit on our bench and maybe get 700-800 for the year, and just for his development. Because
do you think that the days of developing a Robbie Fowler or a Michael Owen at that age and putting them into a top flight team like that are over?
Well, I don't think that we're going to see that many 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old strikers break on, because I think that even like you look at a Robbie Fowler and you look at a Michael Owen, you talk about longevity. Like both of them were gone by the time they were 30, you know. And would you be better to nurture a striker? And they were just brilliant talents. Like, don't get me wrong, Christ, I'd kill for one. I'd kill for a 10-year, like a 20-year-old Robbie Fowler now. Oh, sign me up every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like, just a fantastic player, fantastic finisher, fantastic striker. But I'm not sure that the game is built that way for the Premier League anymore. Yes, you'll have a couple of players that will do it, but like Robbie Fowler, I've no statistics. I would imagine that Robbie Fowler nearly played every single game his first season with himself and Rush, and then when Owen came in, played every single game his first season at 18 years of age. I'm just not sure that is. I'm just not sure that will ever be a thing again, just like the one club striker or the one club player would be a thing again. But like Cameron Archer has, like, I still think that he has time in his side because, like, I'll say it again, like I did in the last podcast, he's 20 years of age. He won't be 21 till the end of the year. But like, none of us were talking about him 18 months ago. No one. There wasn't one person. There wasn't one podcast that was saying, "Hi, let's have a look out and get Cameron Archer." Not that I listened to anyway. And that's what I'm saying is that somebody can blossom and then, like, let him grow at that rate. And if it is on our bench, absolutely fine. But I'm saying let him grow at that rate.
Don't forget, he went out on loan last season. Was fairly ordinary when he was on loan. He just suddenly flourished at the beginning of this season.
At Solihull Moors, was it? Was it Solihull Moors he was at?
And there was a good option to go and to send him out to Preston, who was obviously a great influence on him as well because he was getting games. That was the most important thing. To be playing games at that level will bring you on no end. So if he's old enough, he's good enough. I would say if we don't sign another striker, we're going to need to have him on the bench.
Oh yeah, and I think we will sign another striker. We were linked with just a brilliantly named player and somebody who's highly thought of. Couldn't tell you a sausage about him other than he came on the Europa League. But Sonny Perkins, I've always wanted a Sonny to be playing for a team. I don't know why Sonny's just such a class name. Sonny Perkins sounds like a fella that you could buy half a pound of liver and tripe off, and then see him playing soccer then about an hour later. He is a real East End sounding name, isn't it? He could be one of the pearly people, like Sonny Perkins. He really could be. But looks like Villa are in for him. So are Leeds. Really, really highly thought of player. I just don't know a whole pile about him. I'm going to be really honest. 17-year-old, more so an attacking midfielder than he is a striker. Well, that's what I've seen, but he can play both. He can straddle both of them. But West Ham fans are a bit annoyed that they would be letting him go, and they're blaming David Moyes for not giving youth a chance. It sounds very much like a Chuck Mweka situation that they have gone on there with him. But I don't know a pile about him, but he's somebody that was mentioned yesterday. And I think when we look at, I suppose, talking as well, like that guy Evan Simpson or Ewan Simpson, I can't remember what his name was, and then Rory, the guy from Rangers. Gosh, just basically our recruitment in the youth system seems to really be going after prodigious striking talents and forward talents, I think, at the moment, which probably just goes back to your comment earlier, Paddy, that, you know, do I think that there will be a Michael Owen or a Robbie Fowler? I think you'll probably take 15 shots at trying to find the next one, and if you get one of them right, that'll be a good thing. But yeah, it's all to be seen yet. All to be seen. Paddy, I think that's going to do it for us because we're kind of wandering a small bit in the podcast now. But no, it's been great. It's been great to catch up with you and just get your views on Targett, on Cameron Archer, and on Jacob Ramsey. You know, over the next week or so, we will be back again. We're going to try and keep up the 4 podcasts a week thing because if we can, we've got some features, as I say. I hope to be speaking to somebody from Stoke next week. I have a piece on Quinton Merlin. I have a piece on one of my favorites, Guido Rodriguez, and just little things like that will be coming out. If there's anything that you guys want to see from us, please just drop me a message on Twitter. I'd absolutely love to. If I can put it together, I can put it together. Absolutely no problem. And we've
an exciting week ahead, Neil. We've got the fixtures out next Thursday.
Fixtures.
That's always the signal of the great hope that's going to kill us again.
Yes.
so we'll get into that we'll probably come on and talk about that next Thursday. Just wanted to give out a shout out to a good friend of mine, Sean Carroll, who lives in Birmingham. He's a big Villa fan, big Ireland fan. Got the all clear from cancer yesterday. Absolutely incredible news. And I get to meet him tomorrow. He's flying over for the Ireland game tomorrow. So we're going to have many points to celebrate in getting the all clear. So it's always good to get a good news story.
Especially if you're going to watch Ireland play football, it's good to have good news before you go in there because
it'll be the first time in a long time where I could not care less what happens tomorrow once I get a few points with Sean and celebrate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ireland football. It's tough going at the moment. Tough going. But that's ours
Yeah,
cross the bear.
you're not allowed to mention Jeff Hendrick. You know that it's banned off this podcast. Don't even say the words.
What? I won't even drink Hendrick's gin on
Yeah.
account of
I'm looking forward to seeing John McGinn again tomorrow, possibly playing a little bit further forward for Scotland and seeing. I know he's not up against much, but it'll be interesting to see how he fares out, and I'm looking forward to not being too bothered about how we got on, because as far as I'm concerned, this Nations League is over.
Yeah, our Nations League is definitely over. I'm just more concerned about on next Tuesday night watching Ireland and Italy, and Ireland beat Italy and they could get qualified, automatic qualification for the first time ever to the Euro Under-21s Championship. And I think that should be the whole association's priority. They should, all the 21 eligible players in the senior team should all drop down, and we should go to, where is it? It's Ascoli or somewhere like that. I think they're playing Italy. And they should just go there and blow the doors off them and win the bloody thing. Might as well go and win it while you're over there instead of messing around.
Isn't that who Liam Brady finished up with down there, Ascoli?
Could have been. Could have been for sure. I don't know. You might know this, Paddy, but Liam Brady. No, Liam Brady finished up with West Ham.
Yeah, but before that, was it not Ascoli?
Oh, yeah.
No?
It was Ascoli, yeah. You mightn't think it, but he was a bit before my time, Paddy. Liam Brady, old Chippy. I leave that one to you.
Yeah, well, Liam Brady is a big hero in our house because my father, believe it or not, was his manager.
He wasn't St. Kevin's Boys?
With St. Kevin's Boys. He wasn't too much older than him at the time, but he was his manager. He was maybe 7 or 8 years older than him, but he managed him underage for St. Kevin's Boys. Before he finished up with Arsenal, actually, he brought my dad over to the Emirates, and the two of them had a bottle of wine between them and a good natter. That's about 7 or 8 years ago. But he's a big hero in our house. That's how I remember that he played for Ascoli.
That's good to know. Yeah, and St. Kevin's Boys, for anyone who's any kind of fleeting even interest in Irish amateur football, St. Kevin's Boys, if you're with them, you're going places. It's a nice club and a very historic and successful club as well.
I have a funny feeling that a lot of Villa fans will hear a lot more about St. Kevin's Boys in the next few years, because there's a young lad playing there who has been signed by Aston Villa very much under the radar, and this fella scores 50, 60 goals a season, and if he continues to go on the trajectory he's going, we're in for a treat.
If I'm not mistaken, it was an Aaron O'Reilly for St. Kevin's Boys as well before he went to St. Pat's, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he?
Well, I'm just going to try and figure it out. I think he was. Well, in the absence of actual factual information, we're going to say that it's the best information that we have, and we're going to take it. But I'm just thinking he could have been Joy's, so I'm kind of going, I'm not quite sure. But then again, he could have been Home Farm. Who knows? Who knows? They're all the same up there.
Well, I was waiting on St. Kevin's Boys' parent club is West Brom, so I was waiting on our new youth development team to bring them across, but it hasn't quite happened. But they seem to be looking at a couple of players there, all right.
Okay, that's good, and it's always good to have the nose to the ground with regards to that. But no, that's a good look. The good news for your mate in Birmingham, it's going to be coming over. That's a good news story to finish up the podcast on. And as I say, you go out and you deserve your points if you're going to go watching Ireland football at the weekend. Bigger men than me to be able to do that. But no, listen, thanks everybody for watching. And as I say, and a different time on a Friday, but we just wanted to fit one in, and later on this evening wouldn't have really worked for either of the two of us. Probably be back tomorrow. I don't know which one I'm going to do tomorrow, either Quinton Merlin or Guido Rodriguez, one of the two. And then next week we will have a scouting series with a couple of other bits of Loan Watch mixed in. So keep an eye out. If you aren't already following, please hit the subscribe button. Please give this video a like. Really appreciate it. Audio stuff as well. All you got to do is subscribe. Really appreciate that. You don't even have to listen to the audio podcast, just in case we will. And I know I keep on saying it, and it's like as if it's a threat that will never happen, but there's going to be a week or two here where we'll just be audio only, where we won't be able to do some videos. So I just don't want you guys to miss out on those as well if you are interested in that kind of stuff. So thanks ever so much, everybody, for listening. Stay safe, stay well, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Where's my outro? Actually, my outro. I've turned down the audio on the intro and the outro. So let me know if it is actually any way different for you guys, because I don't know. I just don't know. I keep on turning it down every other time, but it keeps on turning itself back up. So anyway, here goes the outro. Let me know if it's too loud.